second text I will refer to is Sive by John B. Cain. The relationship I wish to describe is the relationship between Sive and Liam Scoob. I think there are many similarities between this relationship and the relationship of friendship that develops between Michele and Filippo. Of course there are some differences. Sive is a girl and Liam is a boy who loves her, but the basis of both relationships is the same. Both relationships involve friendship. In both texts, one of the two people in the friendship is in serious trouble and the other person is trying their best to help them. Sive is a young girl who lives with her auntie Mina and uncle Mike. Her granny Nana also lives in the house. Sive's mother died in childbirth, and Mina resents the fact that she and Mike had to raise Sive, who is illegitimate. Sive's mother asked Mike to make sure that her daughter receives an education. So Sive, at 18 years of age, is still attending the local convent school, much to Mina's annoyance. Mike wanted to honour his dying sister's request. Mike Lavin is a small farm whose cottage is in the remote part of Kerry. This setting is similar to the small remote village called Aquatraverse, where the film I'm Not Scared is set. Poverty and isolation are important factors in both texts, as they are contributing factors to the harm being done to both Filippo and Sive. A local matchmaker, Thomasine Sean Rua, arrives at the Glavin household with a proposal of marriage. He tells the greedy Mina that an old wealthy farmer called Sean Dota wants to marry Sive and is willing to pay £200 to the Glavins and £100 to Thomasine if the marriage goes ahead. Mina and Mike are reluctant at first but are easily convinced. Sive, of course, is horrified by the idea. This situation reminds me a lot of the situation in I'm Not Scared. The very people who should be looking out for Sive's welfare are the ones who are willing to sell her to an old man. In I'm Not Scared, the parents of a young family who should know better are willing to become involved in the cruel kidnapping of a young child in order to get their share of the ransom money. Mina and Mike Lavin decide to pressurise Sive into agreeing to the marriage. They stop her from attending the convent school and thereby isolate her from her friends. They move her out of the bedroom she shared with her nana and instead make her sleep in a bedroom behind their own in the west side of the house. Sive is becoming almost a prisoner in the house. This situation is similar to the situation in I'm Not Scared, in which Filippo is kidnapped from his parents in the north of Italy and brought to the south of the country where he is kept chained in a hole in the ground. Filippo suffers greatly. Even though Filippo's situation is in many ways worse than Sive, she also suffers greatly from isolation and depression. Sive may not be chained in a hole in the ground, but she is made to feel so isolated that she sees no possible escape other than to take her own life. Sive has been seeing a local boy called Liam Scoob, and it is obvious that they are in love. Mike does not like Liam Scoob because it was Liam's relation who got his sister pregnant years before. Nana, however, understands the nature of the relationship between Liam and Sive. She says to Mike, "There's a sweet thing in their love." When Liam hears about the proposal of marriage between Sive and Sean, he does his best to save his beloved Sive from such a fate. This reminds me of the way in which Michele decides to try and save his friend Filippo. Unfortunately, the difference in that is that Michele succeeds in saving Filippo's life, but Liam fails to free Sive. When we first see Liam, he is called to the Glavin household in order to see Sive because he knows that Mike and Mina are not there. Liam mentions that he saw the matchmaker around the area and says that he could never understand how anyone could make a marriage between two people who never saw each other before. Sive agrees, saying it would be terrible. She does not yet know about the plans that are being made behind her back to marry her off to an old rich man. Liam goes on to tell her that he loves her. "I would marry nobody but you, Sive." Just as he is about to leave, Mike Lavin arrives and is very angry with Liam for coming to the house and talking to Sive. Mike decides then and there that it would be better for Sive to marry an old man, Sean Dota, than to marry Liam Scoob. From then on, he supports his wife and Thomasine, ensuring that Sive marries the old farmer. When Liam hears the news that Sive is to marry Sean Dota, he does not believe that she is doing it of her own free will. He comes to the Glavin household to plead with them not to force this marriage on Sive. He tells Mina that he loves Sive. There is a fierce row, but in the end Liam is forced to leave without seeing Sive and without convincing Mina or Mike to stop their plans. The scene of conflict between the Glavins are similar to the scenes of conflict between the kidnappers and I'm Not Scared when they argue about what they should do with Filippo. Michele is like Liam in that he is pieced together bits and pieces of evidence before he comes to fully understand what is actually going on. Sive arrives in the kitchen and asked what was that Liam's voice that she heard. Mina cruelly tells her that Liam called to wish her well in the wedding and he is leaving the area for good. Sive is devastated, but she does not fully believe Mina. "Oh, Liam would never do a thing like that," she cried. Like Filippo chained in the dark hole in the ground, Sive begins to lose hope and feels isolated and abandoned. Liam tries to get her get a letter to Sive, who is now growing even more depressed and isolated as the wedding approaches. He works out a plan, and with the help of a local musician, Pat Sporcock, he goes and gets a letter to Nana. The letter tells Sive to creep out of the house and go to Liam, and he will carry her away where they will get married. Unfortunately, Nana gives the letter to Mike, and it falls into Tom Sheen's hands. The letter is destroyed, and Sive never reads it. This was Sive's final chance of escape. She feels that everybody has abandoned her. In desperation, she runs off into the bog and drowns herself in a bog hole. Unlike I'm Not Scared, where Filippo is rescued and the kidnappers are arrested, Sive ends the tragedy. The final scenes are heartbreaking. Liam Scoops carries Sive's lifeless body into the house. Like Michele, I'm not scared. He has tried to save his life, and beloved Liam did not succeed. The ruthless Thomas Sheen and the old man Sean Dota sneak away. Mike and Liam go to get the priest, and Mina retires to her room in shame. Nana is left to cry alone over her beloved daughter.